Hello there, everybody. Welcome to a little Luck Be a Landlord special video today. Today, we're going to take a look at 12 new ideas for symbols in Luck Be a Landlord. I've been thinking about these for a while, and I wanted to make a little video about some symbols that I think would be really cool to see put in future content updates. I want to preface this video, though, by saying that, one, who knows if a symbol like this will ever be added to the game. I don't know. There's content updates that occur, every 2 weeks. So if something ends up getting added that is similar to something that I show you in this video, I didn't know, okay? So just keep that in mind for future updates. Secondly, I'm not a game developer. I don't know what is balanced and what isn't. So we'll talk a little bit about kind of balancing some of these items, some ideas that I had. But overall, there may be things that are stupidly powerful in here. There may be things that are stupidly underpowered in here. I don't know. So I would love to, have a discussion about some of this in the comment section, and we can kind of chat about how to balance these. Finally, one final thing, I did all of the art in this video myself. I am not an artist in any way, shape, or form, but I thought it would be fun to try to do some of the pixel art for the symbols myself. So I tried, and hopefully you guys enjoy it a little bit. So, without further ado, let's hop in and take a look at our first symbol. So this here is a bone. That's right, it's simple. It's a bone. I wanted to do something that gives wolves and dogs a little bit more of a synergy, right? So this is the bone, gives you 0 coins, right? But it gives 5 times adjacency bonus to dogs and wolves. Now, this might be powerful. I balanced it by making it give you 0, so it's a little bit of dead weight in the deck. A 5 times adjacency bonus is really good. It's really good, especially when you look at wolves being a little strong with moons already. I like the idea of giving the dog an additional synergy, and I figured that you could make it be a little bit better for you. Along with that, I felt that the bone kind of works as an archaeologist synergy as well. So I figured that maybe the archaeologist could eat the bone as well and consume it to add to his stats as well. It's just a simple item. I think that there's probably ways to balance this. Maybe it's a 3 times adjacency bonus, but it gives 1, right? Something like that. But yeah, simple item, simple start. They're gonna get more complicated from here. Next up, we have ourselves the lizard. This is probably the worst pixel art that I have here. But let's talk about the lizard. I wanted to do something, I wanted to kind of do something a bit more unique with this one. So this is an uncommon, also gives 0, which is a trend that I kind of wanted to do a little bit. I feel like things giving 0 is not super present in the game, but I think it's an interesting design choice. So the lizard gives 2 times adjacent symbols value. So all 8 of the tiles around the lizard get a 2 times bonus. But then there's a 33% chance that one of those adjacent symbols is then reduced to 0. So basically you have where you got 8 symbols, but like 2 to 3 of them will probably have their values reduced to 0, but then the other ones will have their values doubled. I think it's an interesting balance that could end up being, kind of insane or kind of terrible all at the same time. So a couple of the synergies that I thought of, obviously the Beastmaster would probably get the lizard added to it. Now, the fact that it gives 0, right, makes it where the Beastmaster doesn't really do much, but once again, I figure maybe there's a balance in there. Maybe the Beastmaster makes it where if it doubles the lizard, then the lizard does 4 times adjacency bonus. Something like that. You get the synergies to start to stack and get a little bit deeper. I also thought that arrows were a really interesting synergy as well, because since the arrows already give you 0, if you stack your build with arrows, then the lizard, if it hits the arrow with the 33% chance, you don't have any negatives from that. So maybe a build with a lot of lizards and a lot of arrows, you start to get a couple of, very basic symbols to pop off. But then, you have the deck still filled with a lot of things that don't give you money. So it's kind of like it's a bit of a glass cannon build, right? And then finally, Ancient Lizard Blade. I just figured, Ancient Lizard Blade, there's got to be some kind of synergy there. Maybe, it's a kind of item synergy where when you pick up the Ancient Lizard Blade, it makes the lizards give you 2 or 3 as well, right? Just to kind of, I don't think that Ancient Lizard Blade is very good, so having, some kind of other synergy involved with it, I thought could be kind of interesting. So a lot to unpack in that one. Let's continue on. This is the Minecart. Okay, we got to talk about this one a little bit. I started making the ideas for this video before the last update of the game, which basically buffed ore builds like crazy. So I have a couple of items that kind of buff ores. This is the Minecart. It's a rare, gives 2, but it's got a 10% chance each round to generate an ore, and a 1% chance to generate a big ore. So value here is basically the fact that you now have a way to go endless with ores. The problem is you basically already had a way to do that now in the game with the archaeologist, and I mean even mines, right, kind of do this, but it's a shorter amount of time, whereas the minecart is a permanent way to generate ore. This might be too strong in the game's current setup, but I still think that, the ore build is something that will likely continue to get changed over the course of content updates. And I feel like it's maybe, this is the kind of thing where it can make ore builds very standardized, but it might still be strong. It really might still be strong. So, other synergies, obviously, miner so they can crack it, the pick so they can crack it, the archaeologist so they can crack it, but also the dame, right? You're generating a bunch of the ores, she can then clean them. Cleaning rag is another one that synergizes really well here. I don't have that listed, but just kind of another buff to ore builds. Speaking of buffs to ore builds, let's take a look at this guy. This is a unique one. This is where we start to get into some of the wonkier ideas that I have. So this is Obsidian, and in all honesty, this is probably my favorite, my favorite pixel art that I did. I actually think this looks really good. So here's a bit of a crazy one, right? And you'll see that the rarity I have listed as question marks, because this is a new kind of item, symbol in the game, where you can't actually get it from drafting. This is a item formed, kind of introducing a new mechanic. So this is formed when you have a raindrop and a spirit flame in adjacent spots next to each other. Okay? And then when you have an obsidian, it also adds a flame for each ore that is sitting next to it. So there's kind of a bit of a weird build you can do with this, where you start to get the flames into ore builds. I think that flames are kind of underutilized in the game, and I think they're one of the more interesting symbols. So Obsidian gives you 4, right? I mean, that's automatically very, very good. Brings another synergy in with the rain, right? Rain is only really used in flower builds right now, so it brings that into another build. Starts to mesh certain builds in the game together, which I think is fun, right? That gives you a lot more variety, because you don't just build one singular set. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. I think it ties in a couple of different builds together into one spot, which I think is an interesting idea. So then to add to that, we also have the diamond pickaxe, which little bit of a Minecraft reference here. You'll see that I have a couple of gaming references here, but this is a rare, gives you 3, which is it's a really, really good rare. Might be more balanced to make it give 2. I'm willing to admit that. But this will break adjacent ores. Just another thing to break ores. 1% chance to add an obsidian to the board. This might be like way too strong. Because I think obsidian is interesting, right? I think it's good, and might be able to carry your run pretty far. So this might be too strong, but I like the idea of bringing in a little bit of a Minecraft reference and utilizing a symbol that I already made in another symbol's kind of synergy list. So there's not much to talk about on this one. Just one other small thing is with the idea of the obsidian being a kind of craftable item, maybe there's also a future where the diamond pickaxe, you could do a similar thing, right? You implement some kind of wood or sticks into the game, and then if you end up having an adjacency of, 3 diamonds and 2 wood or something, maybe that forms a diamond pickaxe, and then, you take the rarity off of rare, you make it a triple question mark like I did, and now you have, kind of a brand new mechanic in the game of kind of that crafting and forming of symbols. I think it's an interesting path to go down. Whether or not the developer of the game has any interest in that kind of mechanic still kind of remains to be seen. But let's move on. We're gonna try to get out of the ore builds now, and we're gonna focus on another build that I think is a little underutilized, right? So this is the mysterious egg. The mysterious egg. It's a rare. Gives you 1, but it also gives 1 for every egg and golden egg that is on the board. It also has a 1% chance to hatch into a wild card. So that's where this gets really strong. I think that the 1% chance to hatch into a wild card, you could even make that smaller, right? You can make that a 0.5% chance, 0.1% chance. It's pretty high, I would say. Even at 1%, it's still very high. Wild cards, obviously being a very rare, are very good. And egg builds are just, they're not quite strong enough, in my opinion, in the game. So you can get a bunch of hens, get those eggs hatching, but then those eggs and hens, they don't build fast enough for you to actually get it to work. So with Mysterious Egg giving an additional 1 gold for every egg and golden egg on the board, kind of starts to make this build work a little bit more. And you could maybe go into a, not endless state, but at least get a winning run with eggs being your main, engine for the build. Makes hens more useful, makes geese more useful. I do love me a goose. Getting a couple golden eggs on the board. Just think that there's some interesting synergies there. I also don't know if there's maybe Mysterious Egg has a synergy with making the omelets as well. Chance to crack the Mysterious Egg and make an omelet with the fry pan item. A couple different directions you can take that. I'll leave it up to interpretation for you guys to tell me what you think we can do with that. So here's another item. This is a kind of list of 2, and this is again a weird mechanic that I'm implementing into the game. This is the tomato, which is a common. It gives 1 coin. And how I want to utilize this is by implementing another, click on symbol mechanic, similar to the swapper, right? So it can be thrown at living humans in the same row or column. So anything that is in the anthropology degree or whatever that item is, can now have a tomato thrown at it. And then any humans hit with that tomato gain a +1 for that spin. So it's not an insane item, but it just gives you that little bit of extra something to do during your spin, right? Look in the row, look in the column, try to find a human, throw a tomato at them. You could then, do a little bit of a fun thing where maybe there's a pixel art image of the tomato splatted on the person's face when you do it. I think it's just one of those cute and funny ideas that could work out okay. I also then thought the chef could absolutely utilize the tomato, and maybe as a little joke, the fruit basket could have the tomato included as well, just to get people talking about tomatoes being a fruit and all that. So, interesting idea. Whether or not it's balanced in any way, I don't know. I clicked back to the Mysterious Egg for a second. Whether it's balanced or not, I don't know. But I think that adding another little interesting mechanic could be fun. So now, implementing the tomato a little bit further, we've got lettuce. Okay, we've got lettuce. So this is another common, gives you 1, but it has a way to destroy some adjacencies. So it can destroy tomatoes, and it can destroy eggs, and it'll give you 10 for each of those destroyed, but it can be consumed by rabbits to give you 3 coins. So the idea here obviously is you're making a salad, right? Tomato and lettuce is a salad, and then egg and lettuce is a bit of a play on words for an egg salad, right? So it builds into, again, me thinking that the egg builds are a little bit underpowered right now. So now this is a way you stick a lettuce in the deck, you get a couple of hens, and now you're really starting to destroy the eggs and get some fun bonuses there. Rabbits are also a build that, while they can be insanely strong given a certain, set of items, I think that they're still maybe a little underpowered in relation to similar items like cats, wolves, things like that. So this makes rabbits a little bit more useful. I think that it's maybe a little low for the balancing to have it only give 3 for the rabbit to eat it, but maybe it should be an uncommon. I don't know. Once again, that's the balance component here, where I'm not a game developer. I don't know what the correct balance should be for this. But I like the idea of throwing in a couple of more synergies for some underused builds and seeing where that takes us. So we move on. Here is an item, the symbol, that I want to talk a little bit about. I genuinely think that something like this will be in the game at some point. And I also want to preface how I worded it, that this is not how I would want it worded in game, but for the sake of understanding what it does, I had to use this wording. So, the Zookeeper. It's a rare, it gives you 2. It destroys adjacent animals, and there's 6 of them that I chose to destroy. Now, there's more animals in the game, but I felt that these were kind of some of the more, I don't want to say underused animals, but kind of underused animals that also have some other synergies that you want to get them removed while they also work in the zoo setting, right? It's just a way for us to get animals off of the board into a permanent upgrade, similar to a diver, similar to a Ms. Fruit, similar to an archaeologist, right? Just take another build and have that symbol to get rid of them. Now, the issue is I do not want to use the word destroy here, and I know that the dev of the game also does not want to use the word destroy here. So we would have to do a new word to describe this. I think collect is a good one. He collects adjacent animals and then gets a permanent 1 for each that's collected. They're removed from the board. No animals are harmed in the process of doing this. I think that's the direction that I would go with this. I just felt that I would use the same wording as what the other cards used, but I know for a fact that Dan does not, the developer of the game, does not want to do that. So I just want to preface that in saying here that I solely did it for the purpose of this understanding. So here's our next one. This is the symbol capsule. New capsule in the game. You'll notice that it looks very similar to something. It's an uncommon, gives 0 money, just like the rest of the symbols, but its shtick is that it just gives you a random uncommon symbol. This is not an incredible mind-breaking symbol in the game. It's just a way to throw an uncommon symbol in, a little bit of a gamble. I think it's fun to have, that random factor in the game. You'll notice that I have the synergies, obviously the capsule machine. To double this, it would give you 2 random uncommon symbols. We also have this guy, who you don't know yet. You'll learn who he is momentarily. I just felt that capsules are one of those interesting mechanics in the game. I would love to see more of them as time goes on. We already got 2 in the last update of the game. I would love to continue to see more of them. I think that they're fun. So we move on. Here's the trainer. Once again, a little bit of a reference, right? Uncommon, gives 1, doubles the effect of all adjacent capsules, right? And at the time that I made this, the reroll capsule and destroying capsule, removal capsule were not in the game. I also don't have a high-res photo of them, so pretend that they're there, right? This is a little bit of a niche one, right? Because the chance of getting your trainer to be next to the capsule is very rare right? It's just not, it's not likely. But I think that that's a good thing for the balance, because doubling that effect that's pretty good, right? Capsule Machine is crazy. And then when you think about having Capsule Machine as well, to possibly quadruple the effect, now you're getting really wild, right? Now you're getting really wild. So clearly some of the synergies here, all of the capsules makes perfect sense, but the swapping machine is so big for this one. Since you can basically guarantee every capsule gets next to your trainer, and now you're getting some fun duping. I think it's a pretty niche item, but I think that it's one of those kind of unique ideas that kind of works and does some weird stuff. I think it's fine. I think it's fine. So our final one, I'm sorry I had to do it. I had to do it. It's the Olexa item here. Many people have talked about it. Reskinning the cultist to be me instead. This is a rare, gives you 1 coin, makes all other cultists give an extra 2, and makes any Olexa give you an extra 2 as well. Kind of the cult leader, right? But it works way too freaking well, dude. I mean, it looks just like me. You just change the colors and it looks just like me. So I thought it would be fun to include a little reference here. Cultist builds are one of the most fun builds in the game. Does this make them go endless? No. I mean, you can go pseudo endless with cultists, but it's not one of those synergies that you're getting, you know, the billions per spin kind of situation. But I think it's fun, and it gives you another layer of depth to the cultist build. And I mean, look, it's a reference to me, which I thought was really fun. So that's all we got for some symbol ideas. 12 of them, couple new mechanics, couple interesting things. This was a lot of fun for me to make, and also, you know, test my pixel art abilities. I don't expect any of these to ever be added to the game. I just thought it was fun to do a little bit of brainstorming on some symbols that could be fun to mess around with in the game. I would love to hear your symbol ideas and also opinions on the symbols that I have made in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see what the next content update brings. You have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.